Sublime magnificence.
Hey guys, you know who it is, what's going on, what is happening, where it's at, and why we're here today. How you doing? It is I, the sublimely magnificent big ugly himself, Omari Ellis Feo Grande on YouTube, back with another episode of the This Guy Hasn't Seen podcast. And as usual, I am joined by my co-host, my runner mate, one of my best friends in the world, El Director himself, Bill Smith.
Hey Omari, thank you for having me back. Boy, do we have something today. We went a little off course this week. You have not seen this film.
I have not.
I have not seen this film. And that's because on our video for RRR, we had a recommendation from Avish Kumar. I don't have it up in front of me. I believe from memory.
That sounds about right.
We'll have a credit somewhere, but that was recommended to us that if we enjoyed RRR, we should also check out director S.S. Rajamouli's other work, Bahubali.
Indeed.
Bahubali. Sorry.
Bahubali. Yeah.
And so, Bahubali, the beginning. 2015 is the movie we're watching today. In ancient India, an adventurous and daring man becomes involved in a decades-old feud between two warring peoples. It is directed by S.S. Rajamouli, as I described, and it stars. Let's see here. It stars Probas, and it also stars. That is him playing our lead in both timelines. We'll get into that. And then also inside of both timelines is our villain, Rana Dagubati. And then we also have our main love interest, Tamana Bhatia. And so this is a little off format for us. Neither of us have seen this.
I have not.
What were you expecting? Because I mean, all we had, so we both had RRR to go off of.
Right.
And otherwise, we had never seen any Telugu cinema beyond that.
Pretty much. So knowing that that's my only basis of Telugu cinema, Telugu. I was expecting wacky shit because it's the same director. So if it's not just this thing, or not all Telugu cinema is this way, I get it, but it's the same director. So I was expecting something similar. So I expected wacky shit with a cool story, and I expected it to end in a cliffhanger because this is called The Beginning. And when you look it up, there's a movie right next to it called Bahubali 2, The Conclusion. So with that, I expected it to end on a cliffhanger.
Right.
I didn't know what the cliffhanger would be, if there was one, but I kind of thought of that going into it. But I was just here for a good time.
For Western audiences, you can kind of relate it to Peter Jackson making Lord of the Rings, even though this doesn't have the novelization Lord of the Rings to be based on, but like the knowledge of the director Peter Jackson is making the Lord of the Rings films, and they're living in New Zealand right now, and they're shooting them all in one go, and then they're going to release them throughout a 3-year span. This is think in that terms over there. S.S. Rajamouli announced this in 5 years before the film was actually released, and it took over 3 years to film and finish and polish. So what I was expecting was pretty much the same. We had seen RRR, and I also knew that this was years before. I wasn't, and I'm still not directly positive if it just goes Bahubali 2, and then RRR, or if there are films in between there, or films. but I knew it was earlier than RRR.
Yes.
And so I was also prepared for that a little bit mentally, and really just was going into this with an open, curious mind of basically like, and again, with an open, curious mind, I say this statement: was RRR a fluke? Was it a one-off?
Yeah. I had a little bit of a worry about that too.
I have not watched Indian cinema, Telugu cinema included.
Same.
And there was a large curiosity that this is kind of the first test of like, okay, so is this a road that I continue to travel down for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
Of testing out Indian cinema films. Because as we've discussed on these episodes before, there's so many options out there in the world. And now I'm adding a whole other country into the mix. And really one of the highest rate producers of films in the world.
Yeah.
I don't know the actual numbers, so I'm not going to say them. But American films made per year, that number is dwarfed by the number made in India.
Really?
Dwarfed. It is like triple on average.
Well, that makes sense. They have about triple the population.
Right. Yeah. But it's also, it's condensed. And you're still talking about 365 days in the year.
And 3-hour long movies.
Right. Yeah.
Jesus.
So I was really going into this with I was curious is probably the best word for my anticipation of this film.
That's fair. I too was had the curious, inquiry about whether or not RRR was a one-time. Oh my goodness. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, because if you're just tuning into the show, we both really enjoyed RRR.
Very much so. And then both have seen it multiple times since. As recently as last weekend, I saw some friends I hadn't seen for a minute, and I'm like, have you guys heard of this movie? We saw a pitch meeting on it a while back, and we're planning on watching it. I want to be with you when you see it again. So,
still, and also it's very, unfortunately, it's very difficult for us, an American audience, to receive any of these movies in their original Telugu language.
True.
Which is a shame. We should get a little bit better access to that. I know SS Rajamouli has been public about not exactly enjoying the fact that Netflix did not offer that.
Yeah.
And that we only were able to either watch it dubbed in English or in Hindi. Because at this point, I want to watch it in every fucking language possible, particularly the original.
Yeah.
So yeah, give us the Telugu original language audio versions, please. We're starting the campaign now.
I agree. So, getting into the movie after we've gotten our expectations, how's your initial reactions to this?
That's fucking hardcore, man. That is hardcore. It might be one of the most hardcore things I've ever seen in a film. It's fucking hardcore. I haven't thought about that. Like, the words are coming out fresh. These are my note on it is, and side note for returning listeners who know I don't take notes. Most notes I've ever taken on any of the films we've watched. My note for that opening scene is, wow, that opening is brutal. But that doesn't really capture it well. That's just what I wrote in the moment. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I too is pretty much that's brutal. That's crazy. I also was like, this is a serious opening. You got the lady carrying the baby with the arrow in the back. I'm like, she's badass. She's like killing people. I'm like, this shit's awesome.
Yeah, we come to learn that she is super badass.
Yeah,
like she becomes very important later on in the film.
and you had this fucking Moses ass origin story of the fucking going down the river and everything, and people finding him and raising him up, but it's kind of like reverse Moses, as I was explaining to a guy at work. I'm like, no, it's reverse Moses, because Moses was a lower class that went down the river and was found by the ruling class and raised thinking he was a ruling class, only to find out he was lower. This is a ruling class who went down a river, found by the lower class, grows up thinking he's lower, and eventually finds out he's ruling class.
I want to talk about that lower class for a second. The tribe at the base of the waterfall. My wife was in and out of the film, in and out of the room while this movie was going on through most of it, and trying to explain to her that opening scene, trying to explain to her, like, okay, so this lady, she was trying to get across the river. She was already like filled with arrows. She kills a couple dudes. She falls. She's dying. She says a prayer and literally holds this baby up as out of the water as it
washes over her and drowns her.
But then the tribe and the mom, our main character's adoptive mom in this movie, she is handed this. The villagers see him, like, oh my god, what the fuck is going on here? They come back offshore. They're like, this baby is mystical. Something's going on here. Hey, did you see what was going on? And also, the second we took the baby, the hand that was holding it pointed at the waterfall. Something's going on here. Oh shit, by the way, this tunnel that appears to lead directly to the top of the mountain that we've never seen before, ever, even though we've lived right here at the base of this waterfall, suddenly appears right when we find this baby. And this lady goes, I'm keeping this baby. All of you shut your fucking mouths or I'll kill you. Close that tunnel. And then we fast forward 20 years.
Pretty much, that's exactly like so I'm like, damn, lady claimed that baby quick. Also, damn, he's growing up fast. Pretty much, yeah, it's just we skipped 20 years, like, yep.
Yeah, the grow up montage is basically mom saying, don't climb the waterfall, and then him immediately climbing the waterfall. and we see that in different ages as he grows. Then we're quickly too.
And you know he's going to eventually climb that fucking waterfall. Like, he fell down it at one point, and he just immediately boop 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 boop. And I'm like, I think the second he lifted the statue that she was praying to make him stop, I'm like, and there it is. It's a SS Rajamouli film. The main character I'm expecting to be, as I mentioned in the RRR, a him, one of those guys, like, status anyway. But then he had the fucking Moses origin. I'm like, oh, there's no way he's not a chosen one. Clearly that's gonna be the case. Sure enough. And then as he climbs it, when he climbs it again and actually successfully climbing it, which we'll get further into, at first, during that whole sequence, there's also a song talking about, much like they did in RRR, here's our main character, and here's how awesome he is.
Yeah. I wonder if that's a reoccurring theme in Telugu cinema, or if it's just a note from the SS Rajamouli camp, because it's mostly all the same crew, and it's kind of interesting because it's SS Rajamouli directing, and then all of his movies are written by his father, And then the person who scores them and works on all the music, the person nominated for an Oscar, coming up here very soon, heavy favorite to win that Oscar, is Rajamouli's cousin. So it's very much a family affair, and they work on all of the movies together. And I feel like you can really see, not to spoil any thoughts I have on this movie, but I feel like you can all parts of this, you can see them growing into what RRR becomes.
Yeah. I can see that as well. They
You
even
can
have
see
the main
you can see
character.
the notes. You can see the.
They even have the main character allegory to a deity thing going on. You had Rama in RRR. You had Shiva in this movie, so much that the guy's name, literally, his adopted mother just named him straight up Shiva, at least according to the subtitles I saw.
Yeah, on IMDb it's spelled to sound like Shivudu.
Oh, okay.
SHIVUDU.
Okay. I'm just telling you what
yes.
the subtitle. That's why I said based on the subtitles I saw, they just shortened it to Shiva. I'm like, but Shiva's the deity.
That's what it sounded.
Named the main.
That's what it sounded like in my ear from when they would say his name. It sounded like Shiva, but again, we're not sure.
Yeah.
So once he finds the wooden mask and uses that as the inspiration to climb the waterfall, we have the introduction of the romantic lead of the film, which is Tamara Bhatia.
Okay.
And she's first appearing as just kind of this mystical vision of a person behind the mask to kind of inspire him along up the mountain.
So I sent you a text earlier when I was watching the movie. This movie's a trip. That's when I sent it because it's just her singing some fucking siren song while he's what is going on? I'm like, okay, this movie's a fucking trip. And then I realized right after I sent it that like a couple days ago or whatever you watched it, you just sent me a text that said, well, that was a trip. I'm like, wow, we both had similar reactions. I'm like, all right. And I'm 15 minutes at most into the movie. But yeah, he follows her up the fucking waterfall. Goddamn, nearly falls off and still following the siren song. And then, because we jump around, we do stuff like standout moments, initial reactions. We mix it all together at this point. This motherfucker right here, he jumps off the mountain like he's damn near the top. Takes out the fucking bow to shoot the rope and barely catch it to the thing and climb up.
He built all of that in the moment. Yeah, he's standing at that cliff and he's like, I'm gonna have to do the bow and arrow move. All right. Builds a bow, builds an arrow.
No, this dude is the fucking chosen.
That's absolutely a standout moment. Absolutely a standout moment.
It's so much so that I showed because I eventually, not to spoil how I felt about this movie, I eventually showed it to people at work today, which means I watched it twice in one day. And one of the people who was barely paying attention, are like, no. Look at this. When he did the arrow park, I'm like, no, check this. Look at this dude over here. They're like, what the hell? Oh, I'm about to check this movie out when I get home. So, yeah, the waterfall climb, and then eventually we meet Avantika, or whatever her name is, Avanti.
Yeah.
Avantika, we meet her, and love at first sight for the main character. Love at first sight for myself, in all honesty. I guess second sight if she's actually playing the siren.
Yeah. She is beautiful. She's beautiful as the warrior princess.
Like, that's
character.
what I first took notice. Ironically, that's what I first took notice of her and everything. Because when she was doing the I'm on the waterfall, I was too what the hell is going on with this dude right now?
I wasn't even sure if it was the same person.
I didn't think they
I
were.
wasn't.
I thought they
I
were
wasn't
different
positive.
people.
Yeah, it was just like a siren kind of character. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, and then we see her like, oh, now this one, here we go. When she's at first running, then she turns around and just stabs that motherfucker in the face and just looks at him like surprised.
Yeah, she's badass.
I'm like, oh man, yes, that's a love interest. Yeah. That's a love interest.
And Shivu is gonna start his courtship now, which is a very interesting. I mean, I wish I had the skills. It's a very interesting avenue to say I'm going to give this woman a series of secret tattoos.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, this is kind of creepy. I get the whole, I guess, romantic aspect of it in his head, especially when we later find out that the tattoos match his own, and it kind of makes a big picture together, like we belong together type message. At the same time, my dude ain't talked to this lady, and he's sneaking up in underwater and just.
Right, but it's all. Like, I mean, all those.
Creepy.
But like you said, all those romance, the old romance stories, they're all that kind of way. Sure. Like you excuse it because
it's a movie.
It's true love. You in the scenario of watching the film, you accept the scenario of true love, of the possibility of two characters just making eye contact and instantaneous knowledge. We're together forever.
I will say they do go from murder to marriage almost instantly. Mm-hmm. My man Bahubali works quick, and apparently it runs in the family. That man, like, I seize you and I wants you. Have me. All right.
Boy, so yeah, my I know I have a note in here calling it the makeover fight scene.
Yeah.
The you want to fight me and I'm gonna make you look pretty. Fight is.
And she does look like a different person.
Yeah.
By the end of that, I was like, that's the same actress. I mean, I already said I was hooked when I first saw her in the warrior garb, so it's not some shallow shit to be like, oh, she put makeup on and now I notice her. No, that's not the case. It's just holy shit.
Yeah, she's very pretty, very very pretty. I will note there's I want to highlight one thing I think separates for me RRR and this film that could really take this film to a different level beyond even where it's at now is the individual fight scenes. I think they really improve, and that might just be my personal take. Probos is kind of fighting giant style.
Yeah.
And I've never and for like American wrestling audiences form of it like I've never really been the like Andre the Giant or Big Show. It's just kind of like ugh. I'm taller and stronger and I'm just gonna kind of shove you over because I'm so big and strong. And here's a forearm to the neck that just like crumples you.
I do hear you on that. And especially in a wrestling ring where you see this shit like 2-3 times a week, if you're avid, like when you're invested.
Right.
That can get old real quick. It did not get old for me in this movie, but I do agree with you on the like individual fight choreography because of the status of Bahubali. This guy, like R&R, both of those motherfuckers is main characters, and they both have the him status, so they both have their things. Pretty much Bahubali is the two of them in one dude. Like he is Like they are, I was saying they are hims. No, he is him. He is just no. You're not messing with me. There's a moment we'll get into later in the movie where I'm just like, oh come on now. Who wouldn't follow this guy?
Oh yeah, no. The original Bahubali is him.
Yeah,
he is him. His son
is going to be probably by the end of conclusion.
Yeah. He's still probably better than Ram and Beam. But yeah, he ain't from the film that we've seen
so far
in one. He ain't touching Daddy. Seems to be.
Oh no, he's not touching
on
Daddy.
another level.
They're both called Bahubali according to the subtitles, so that's why I was like, and they're both played by the same guys. So I'm just like, just to be that guy, and because of what his dad is, and the fact that we got a whole other movie now that he knows who he really is. I'm like, he's probably gonna be doing stupid shit the entire next movie.
Well, I mean, there's still a lot of dad that we got to see too.
Also true.
I mean, yeah.
Oh God.
Wait. So he finds the love of his life.
Yes.
He's just a simple tribesman who's climbed this waterfall to find the woman that he knows he's meant to be with after he sees her mask. Actual plot.
Yeah, he's even talking to the mask for a minute.
Simultaneously, there is this group of rebels who are plotting to save the former queen
Devasena.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who is being held by the current ruler, who all we know is he bad.
he no good.
He bad, and he's got this lady chained up.
And he can stop a bull with his bare hands.
And the rebels really want to rescue her. That's kind of what we know there. And here is where we start hearing about Bahubali and how nobody remembers him. Don't worry. And then
25 years.
Lady chained up is like, you don't fucking know. My son is coming.
My son Bahubali is going to free me, motherfucker.
He's going to come. He's going to save me. He's going to kill you.
I'm going to burn your ass alive on these pyres. By the way, Indian, or by Indian, obviously I mean the country. Indian ladies who are mad give the most I want this motherfucker to suffer ass speeches. Like, especially in this movie, like damn near every one of them's just like, I don't just want this motherfucker dead. I want his arms ripped off and him to be in a pool of his own blood. I want the vultures to pluck out his eyes. He better still be alive while they doing it too. I want this motherfucker, like, and that happens on a few times. Like, even Davis, but we don't see her face. It's obscure. And I noticed this because coworker was like, it's weird that they always obscure her face. I'm like, I remember seeing it. And then next thing you know, you think I'm playing here? This is a funeral pyre. My son will burn him on this fire, and the words will spread throughout the land. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's it. That man, when she makes that turn and we do a face reveal for the first time, that is an intense moment.
Because at first I'm like, why does this nigga hate Davicina so much that he's got her chained up in the thing? Because, you know, we don't know as viewers. Right. And then she turns around with that. I'm like, oh, she sure as hell hates his ass back, though.
We still don't fucking know. Like, I'm telling my wife the entire time, I'm like, we got to see her younger at some point, or else there is no reason why they cast this young actress and put this old age makeup on her. We got to see her young at some point. But conveniently, our main character falls in love with a woman who has the exact task of that monologue.
Yeah.
She has to go save this queen, and our main character, in a very romantic, it was a very romantic moment, a very, very well done by Prabhas, of just like, you know, whatever task, you know, any burden you have is now my burden.
Yeah, you are mine. Everything that is yours is mine as well, including like your duty. Yeah, so if you need to save this Davisina, I will save this Davisina.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, you will. Oh yeah.
I'm like, all right, just make up immediately for all the creepiness. He's like, no, and because he also had her looked down on by her fellow rebels because of the tattooing he was doing. Yeah. And they were already like hesitant to send her. He's like, no, I'm not just screwing over your mission. I'm gonna complete it for you. I got this. No, I'm not taking you away from your warrior's life to ruin you or nothing. Nah. We warriors. I'm here now.
Yeah. We warriors. Have you seen me punch a dude? They just crumple into nothingness. So he's going to. First he goes to scope out the place, and that's a whole other thing because they're raising that statue. And then it starts to fall, and he literally and I'm like, this motherfucker's gonna catch this statue. This motherfucker. I didn't know if he was gonna grab the ropes or if he was literally going. We were gonna suddenly see him underneath it as right before it hits the ground, just like.
And the second he gets in the city on some Lion King Simba ass shit, the wind.
Oh my god! No, here. I'm so glad you mentioned that because I so wanted to remember this. The story goes that SS Rajamouli pitched this movie to Prabhas in this way. Prabhas, I am making the Lion King. Imagine if you could play both Simba and Mufasa.
I want to be in the Lion King as Simba and Mufasa.
Apparently that's how he sold him on the movie. He was like, I'm making the Lion King and you're gonna play Simba and his dad.
That's awesome. I told you I got
metaphorically speaking, of course.
I told you I got the Simba vibes. The second he landed and the wind like sent the leaves over to his mom in a way where she's like, Bahubali has returned. Everyone's thought this baby died 25 years ago but her. But the wind blew in just a specific way that day where it caught the essence of this man back on the wind. And she's like, if she had a tree, she'd be Rafiki. He's alive! Because that's literally what happened in the movie. Simba flopped somewhere, Rafiki grabbed some leaves, and he's like, oh shit, Simba's alive. It was the same fucking shit.
So at this point,
statue.
Right? Yeah. He's moseying about the castle, and then he starts to save mom. And at this point, I'm doing my movie time math.
All right.
And my knowledge of plot structure, and I'm telling myself this isn't right. What's happening? We're only at an hour 45. This shouldn't be happening yet. Okay, all right. He's not going to be successful.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, he is.
No,
all right,
he's getting.
Nope, he's getting successful. Okay. Wait, where is this? How are we gonna get into this? why isn't the old man in the beard recognizing him? Everybody else apparently recognizes him. Oh, it's because he's covered in mud, I guess. Okay.
Yeah.
He has mud on his face. He's shaking the mud off his face, and now the old man recognizes him. But still, what the fuck are we doing? There's still an hour left in this movie. And then
what I feel like is another, just based on the two movies we've seen, so I could be wrong. I feel like this is another SS Roger Mooney trope of, hey, we're halfway through the movie. Time for the actual main character to show up. Wait, what? No. You thought this guy was the main character, but this is who I really wanted to talk about. We did it with RRR, where you think we're following Beam, and this other guy is just some serious-ass villain, and then halfway through the movie you realize he's not some villain that's gonna turn to the side of good. He's been the main character the whole time. Wait, you didn't know? Let me go back for a minute and tell you.
But instead we go back and we just live there. We stay there. It's a flashback that doesn't. It's just a back. There's no flash. It's just a back.
You'd be forgiven for forgetting that you're being told the story. Like, there's one point where I'm like, wait, why am I feeling any tension for bald dude? He's telling me this story right now. I know he survives because he's telling me this story.
Yeah, but so yeah, we
awesome, don't get me wrong, but
we have the entire flashback, which is crazy and in many ways even cooler than the first half of the film.
Yes, because Bahubali,
because it's even more of a period piece.
Because
and the big war and all that.
Because present time main character, while he's fulfilling his destiny as dictated by the gods and his mom and grandma, while he's doing all this, he's doing this not knowing he's supposed to be doing this at all. He just thinks he's some dude that really wanted to climb a waterfall because he thought he would meet a hot chick. Like, that was it.
Yeah.
And then he's like, wait a minute, I've done all this shit, and now everybody's looking at me weird. The fuck's going on? Oh, you didn't know?
It was your destiny.
It was your destiny. When he cut off the prince's head right before that, too?
Oh, my God. Yeah, I blew past that.
The fucking sword?
Yeah.
That's what I think that's part of what made the old guy realize, because that's his dad's sword.
I would really like to hear, like, there's sometimes where I would just really love to be, like, in the interview actors and directors and film and TV makers industry.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like sometimes there's such specific questions that I want to ask that people aren't asking. And with Rajamouli, and the interview may exist out there that would answer this question for me, but I'm very curious if he's like an anime fan, because I sometimes I feel like there are direct anime inspirations.
I can see that
in his films, in both RRR and in this one, and boy, that felt. I don't know if it exists in an actual anime, but it felt.
It definitely felt anime influenced.
When
there's
when
a
it's,
lot of anime
when it's
moments.
backlit and the lightning and the corpse is still taking a few steps as it kind of slowly crumples.
I expected him to like stab because he was walking up just as slow as it was, like behind it, like I'm a fucking super end your ass, like the old ladies demand. Die and then die 5 more times, motherfucker. When I'm done with you. But yeah, I'm sorry, that just the jump over the horse, grabs the sword while the old man's trying to grab it, and just woo. I rewound that. I was like, damn, that's clean.
Yeah.
So clean.
The lead of the back half is kind of the aunt to Bahubali and the leader of the kingdom of that time, Shivagami, I believe is the character's name.
Shivagami.
Ramya Krishnan, I believe is the actress. She does a really good job.
Fantastic.
She's a very cool character, a very powerful, decisive woman, obviously extremely smart. Her one judgment that I question is at birth making these two boys compete at each other's throats for the rest of their lives to determine who is going to be king or not.
Yeah. Not the best decision.
What the fuck did you think was going to happen? But you need that for the plot.
Yeah, she's like the one of them who acts more like the main character of a story is the one that I'm making king. He needs to be valorous, virtuous, so and so and so and so. If he's the perfect person, he'll be king. Whichever one of them is more of a good guy. So and
then the rest of the movie, basically, until we get to the big battle, is just kind of a montage of them growing up and being awesome people. And it's not really, we're not necessarily seeing Bahubali being necessarily better than his brother.
No, look at Baladeva is ridiculous in his own right.
The separations don't really occur until the battle,
right?
In those key moments that Shivagami points to, of like, a king defends his kills the enemy and defends his people.
Right.
You simply killed the enemy. That's what a soldier does.
Yeah. You're more of a soldier than a king. And it seemed for the most part during that growing up montage that even though both boys were aware of the competition, for the most part it seemed like a friendly competition until around when it got nearer to the war, when Baladeva was contemplating pulling a scar on Mufasa. In fact, I thought he was about to scar his ass, but then I'm like, wait, he hasn't impregnated the mom.
We haven't even met the mom yet.
We haven't even met the mom, or have we? But I'm saying, I'm just like, haven't?
Right.
No, we haven't. No, what? But I'm like, is he about to scar his ass off this cliff? Because he had the chance. Long live the king. But bald dude showed up, or Katapa shows up. He's like,
or Katapa. We're not sure. I don't remember it.
And he's like, this guy. So fine, pulls him back up, and Bahubali is just like, good shit, bro. Just oblivious the whole time. Just like, this is friendly competition between the two of us. And we're brothers.
It's the way old boy with the hand was acting. It seemed to be common knowledge that, although Bahubali was treated as a son, he was actually not their son. He was the son of the actual king, who died. So, I mean, if I was Bahubali, I'd probably be growing up like aunt/mom is telling us that it could be either one of us, but
it's me.
We both know. We both know the bloodline is in me.
If we're trying to figure out who the king is, it's me. I'm him.
Yeah.
If people want to know who the general is, you're him. But I'm him when it comes to king.
Do you have any other highlights from like the battle?
Oh, the chariot.
The murder chariot.
The murder chariot. I said, oh my god, and or this some version of this motherfucker over here. I said that so many times throughout this movie, like just, oh my god. This because in a chariot, a fucking spinning death chariot. Oh, Queen Mother S name, it was Shivagami, but I didn't remember it when I typed it. I was just like, Queen Mother S name is godlike. But yeah, just the fact that there's the chariot, there's the fact that the two motherfuckers were playing Dynasty Warriors in a movie. For those of you unfamiliar with Dynasty Warriors, I would say just watch the battle from this movie, watch our two main antagonists during it, and you have Dynasty Warriors, the video game, which is why I like those games, because I get to be Bahubali and Baladeva, just mowing down people and shaking off any fucking damage because I'm that dude.
Yeah.
And then the speed, and there, when the Sawblade Chariot came out, this dude, and I started like raising my hand to the screen in disbelief as it cut to the dad raising his hand in disbelief at the Sawblade Chariot, and I'm literally doing what the characters in the movie are. Just what is this? And then the fucking captain. You mentioned something about the previous characters and how you know how you help suspend your disbelief with a lot of over the top, larger than life characters. You liken them to another character,
Right.
Steve Rogers, Captain America. If there's one thing I know very little about Captain America, but if there's one thing I noticed when I read through the Marvel Civil War things, is that motherfucker can give a speech. That motherfucker gave a speech that made Spider-Man switch sides in Civil War just because Captain America talked to him for 5 minutes. And it was just like, this is what America is to me. And Spider-Man's like, you know what? You're right. I'm with you now. I did already gave up my secret identity, something I waited my whole life not to do because I thought Iron Man was right. But I talked to you for 5 minutes. I'm joining your side. Captain America can give a fucking speech. And so can Bahubali. Let me tell you, he blew that fucking Captain America speech out the fucking water. I'm following Bahubali, and I love America. That dude gets, not only does he pull a Teddy Roosevelt, get shot while giving a speech and just finish giving the speech, but he just leaves the arrow there. He doesn't even remove it till like the end. He just arrow. So I'm giving my speech anyway. What's death? Death ain't shit. Caring about death is actual death. I'ma go kill death. Who's gonna die with me as I go kill death? And as he goes and gives whatever his like final line is, some random motherfucker tries to run up because he is just sitting on a horse yelling in the middle of a battlefield. The battle hasn't stopped. He's just like yelling loud enough for everybody to hear. And so some dude's like does the smart thing of like, well, I'm gonna take advantage of the fact that nobody's fucking fighting.
Right.
Wrong thing. That was stupid, you dumbass. Don't you realize that's Bahubali? This dude runs up, gets ready to fucking stab him, and he just yeets his ass like 50 feet behind him like it's nothing, then takes the arrow out and like, let's get these motherfuckers. A dude with one leg chopped off hops up to his feet immediately like, yes sir. There's a dude who's missing an arm that's still like, yes sir. Fucking bald dude, Kapata, fucking hangs a dude from a fucking trebuchet, breaking the enemy flag and launching that nigga like 20 feet, like, let's fucking do it! Yeah! Like, I'm following this dude to the end of the earth right with him. This man made a one-legged dude hop up, like...
Yep.
That's a fucking nat 20 on a fucking plus 10 charisma check speech. Just revive the whole fucking allied side. Just like, yeah, morale.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's like you rolled and you're with one of those DMs that's like all right, what do you say? No, like for real, what do you say? And then you just deliver the ultimate speech and he starts crying and he lets you do basically whatever you want.
Man, That dude, and then he beats the fucking enemy with the fucking lion fist thing, which I just call it the Nemean cestus as a reference to God of War 3, which, if you're unaware with the Nemean lion, it's something from Greek mythology. Hercules has already killed it in the game, and has these gauntlets made out of the Nemean lion that have lion heads on them, and they're pretty much fucking metal lion heads attached to a contraption that you punch people to death with. And now this nigga's got the fucking Nemean cestus on his hand, punching the dude in the face. I'm like, oh man, no, it's over. He grabbed the Nemean cestus. I've seen what Kratos can do with those. If a dude that's that level in his own universe has a lion on his hand, he's going to beat you to death with it. Unless his mom asked you to be brought back alive so the vultures can pull out your eyes as your limbs get all chopped off. Because she was very unhappy that you said you would kill both her sons. And so she went from kill that motherfucker to torture the shit out of him while he's alive.
Yeah, and I mean, we all saw a cousin stealing the kill.
Yeah.
We all knew that was coming from a mile away.
Because Dad tried to go out on a limb and make an opinion for himself because he hasn't realized yet that Shivagami's in charge. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking... Whoever kills the enemy dude is the new king. That'll decide it. I'm also gonna give my son all the best weapons, all the best soldiers, everything. Win! You're already ridiculous on your own. I'm just stacking the deck in your favor. Yeah, I got these sheets though, because I'm Bahubali. What? I'm gonna set them on fire too and do way more damage than your side is doing.
Yeah, I wonder if that's a real thing from history.
I feel like it might be.
Or did they just invent that?
I feel like to some degree that's a thing.
I feel like, yeah, that could have been a very effective.
Yeah. To some degree, that's a great tactic. Because just looking at it, like the sheet itself just caused a big disruption in the flow because it covered so many people and got them tangled up. And then you set them on fire that was like a fucking bomb went off. Just vaporized the motherfuckers. Like, that's how hot the fire was. It's so sick. And then...
So at this point, we both know that we're watching the second one, right? like at this point in the movie, it's like, okay, we don't have that much longer left.
I want to know.
We're still in this fucking flashback.
Yeah, I'm like, when does he meet the mom?
Yeah, and yeah, it's around when the battle starts is when I'm like, oh. Yeah, so they really meant the fucking beginning.
I'll agree with that. That is where I'm like, so this is why they said the beginning, because we're largely going to focus on Dad's flashback. So we're probably going to win the battle. He'll be made king, and he'll meet the mom, and then it's like, and that's how you came to be.
Yeah, if I had to make a prediction, it's going to be like kind of predominantly, I would assume bookend. Like, I would guess the second one is going to come in back with them returning to, hey, we're telling this story, and then immediately jumping to the flashback, and then the end of the conclusion is we're going to see the son again.
Bahubali the second going in and showing like, yeah,
that's what I would guess, but I you know,
Bahubali the second, now aware that he's the main character of the story. And so it's unlocked his main character powers, like, oh wait, I'm the main character? Oh shit, that means I can do even more now. Because I'm pretty sure Bahubali the previous, like you said, I'm pretty sure he knew he was the main character. He's like, this is a competition, but it's not a competition.
Yeah.
Do you hear the people at the mere mention of my name? The city goes up, yellow sun. Nigga, you could raise 100-foot statue in your honor, and they would still sing a song about me while they did it.
So, I mean, do you have?
If I'm Bahab Dave, I'm killing the dude too. Fuck you, smug ass motherfucker.
You wouldn't be cool being second in command,
If
being the king's right. See, I feel like the king's right hand man has the most fun.
if I'm specifically if I'm Baladeva, I'm killing that dude too. Because allegedly, it's one thing to be the king's right hand man. It's another thing to be told through your whole life that you got the chance to be king,
Right.
and you were born before this other motherfucker. And by all means, it's like, what the hell? No. This should be mine. And your dad is constantly in your ear your entire life. It's gonna be you. I'm doing everything. It's you. It's you. It's you or bust. We doing this. You gotta do it because he's on his whole projecting self.
Right. Well,
my son will be.
He was in the king line, but never made it to the throne.
Exactly.
And always thought it was partially because of his deformity and all that. So yeah, he's got a lot of complexes that he's pushing off onto his son for sure.
Exactly. So if I'm Baladeva, yes. If I'm me, yeah, I'm fine being especially because I still get to be that fucking badass. I'm a fucking war general too. I'm the guy you don't want to see on the battlefield unless you're talking about, well, it's me or the king. Well, I guess I do want to see you, but I don't want to see you on the battlefield.
Yep.
But yeah. But my last standout moment is also the end of the film. Because we get our cliffhanger. How did he die? Well, cliffhanger. And I was like, I let out an audible no. Because I stopped looking at how long I had by the time that battle started. I had it in my head. We're at least finding out who the mom is, why the grandma died.
Same here.
So I stopped clock watching. And then we get the moment. And then the credits come up. And I just, no. And so I send you another text because I think people have already figured this out. I enjoyed the movie at the very least. Chances are you did too. And I'm like, so we're watching the movie next week, right? I don't care if it's earlier than we normally reveal it in our show. We're watching the next movie, right? Because I have to know.
I think next week we have to. I think next week we have to watch Bahubali: The Conclusion, and wrap up this little Telugu series with the conclusion of the story. I think it has to happen.
Yeah,
it does.
It does.
All in all, I think the movie was so entertaining. I do think it has some moments where it falters technically, and that's just me being super nitpicky about it. I feel like there are a lot of moments where you can see the growth in SS Rajamouli as a filmmaker between this and RRR. As I mentioned earlier, particularly the fight scenes, in how they're choreographed and how they're shot by SS. I think it's kind of standard right now in Bahubali, and it becomes very interesting and very specific and stylized to him later on. So I think there's growth that we see there. I love Probas, but he is not Ram Charan for me.
Correct.
Ram Charan is still my dude. I love you, Ram. But all in all, I love this film. And as you talked about, Tamina Bhatia is lovely, and she is great in this film. Particularly
great acting as well.
Particularly as the warrior princess version of her character. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited to see all the players I'm
hoping the warrior gets more time to fight in the sequel. Like when we get around to the inevitable vengeance quest part of it, which, boy, do I love me some vengeance quests for people who don't know out there. which makes me even more excited to see this movie, because I was going to say I agree with a lot of your points. I love the movie. It's less polished than RRR is. And for that reason, I would probably put RRR a bit ahead of it. It's also, I could watch the whole story in one sitting with RRR. Nothing against Bahubali. I may want to spend 6 hours on random days going forward. But right now, yeah, it is what it is. But hell, I watched the movie twice in one day. I watched it, went to work, put the movie on at work. So obviously I love it. I live for these kind of fucking turn your brain off, just over the top action. Fucking dude, the battle itself, the Dynasty Warriors, but in movie form, I was into it. I didn't even bother with roles. I'm just, fuck it, put me in the movie. I don't care. Give me whatever.
Right.
There are so many people that get the fucking SS Roger Mooley, I'm an important character treatment, where they just show up in some kind of cool badass slow-mo moment, or just even if it's just taking off a fucking robe, just me, nigga. And it's like, oh. Okay.
Including SS Rajamouli. He has a cameo as the liquor as the bartender in the scene where the brothers in the flashback go to like that brothel bar place.
So that's him.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, he's the one selling those bottles that Bahubali keeps saying aren't big enough.
Yeah, but yeah. So what else is gonna say? Oh, fun fact that I noticed on my second viewing, at least in the whatever version I saw at work on Netflix, still, whenever an animal was on the screen,
CGI in the bottom corner.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that was I believe they were able to get around that in RRR with the message in the opening. But at the time of making this film, that was a requirement in Indian cinema in order to get rated publicly. Is they didn't allow acts of violence against animals, and if it was depicted on screen, you had to display a notation that it's not real.
Okay. So that's a requirement from India. Okay.
I believe that's what I read.
Like, okay.
That's what I read off of a website.
That's fair. I thought they were just trying to be like, calm down. I thought it was a choice they made to be like, calm down, the CGI. But I can see that being because they didn't do it in RRR. I didn't think that. But yeah, I was like, I paid so little attention to the bottom left corner of this film on my first time watching. Like, someone had to point it out to me the second time. I did not notice. I almost watched this movie twice and didn't see the CGI thing once. Someone else had to point out, like, why does it say, thank you, movie, for letting me know it's CGI. I'm like, what are you talking about? Why do you care? Of course it's CGI. There's a lot of CGI-ass moments in this. And it's from 2015, and it has less of a budget than RRR. I'm okay with however, quote-unquote, dated the CGI looks. I don't care. I get the point. It's a fun movie, like I said. Yeah. I love it. I'm waiting. I'm ready for the next one. I want to see that midway point between how our SS Rajamouli goes from a Bahubali to a RRR. Not only do we get the middle of that, but as I just came to the epiphany of as we were talking, that it's a vengeance quest built in. So I'm extra hype. And yeah, I may have a new like person in my top whatever directors when it comes to SS Rajamouli, because we're 2 for 2 so far on his movies. I'm like, I don't care if it ain't for you, but this my shit.
No, yeah. I'm loving the ride so far.
All right, yeah. So next week we're watching part 2, the conclusion of Bahubali. If you want to see other stuff from us, like our RRR video, obviously it's on this channel. Go ahead and check it out. You can also find me elsewhere on YouTube with the Whatever We Want podcast with new episodes every week, every Wednesday. I also have a Twitter and Twitch. That is Giotavi. That is Giotavi. Come on in, stop on by. And yeah, Bill, you got anything you want to say to the folks out there?
No.
All right. Well, guys, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next week. Adiosness.